it's Miss Robinson, your science teacher for the semester. So we've been going over all different kinds of things. We've been really focusing in on organisms and how energy flows and how they get their food and things like that. And we even talked about this big fancy word called interdependence last week. And all that means is that organisms need other things to survive, right? They rely on organisms to survive, or non-living things too. So this week we're going to kind of switch things up. We're going to go back over something that's from like the beginning of the year. And we're going to go back over matter. And that's because I wasn't with you guys at the beginning of the year, so I didn't really get to talk to you guys about this. So I think it's just a really good reminder at this time of year when we're starting to get a little antsy and ready for summertime, just some really basic stuff that helps us understand everything else that is in science. So let's look at our objective. I can classify matter by sorting materials as a solid or liquid. So we're really going to be focusing in on what solids and liquids are. And whenever you get up into 3rd grade and 4th grade, you start talking about solids, liquids, and gases and how they can change states. But for now, we're just going to kind of talk about the basics. So what we're first going to do is we are going to talk about this fancy word matter. Classify matter. What does matter mean? Matter is literally what everything is made up of. Matter just is what every particle is made up of. And so an easy way of saying that is just, let's write matter. And matter is what everything is made of. So matter is what everything is made of. So that means my hair, my skin, my glasses, this cup, this lotion that's in the cup, all of that is matter. It's something has to make it, and what it's called is matter. So there's a couple different categories we can say things are with matter, and 2 of the big ones are solids and liquids. So let's kind of dig deeper into what a solid is. So a solid is a type of matter or something that has a definite shape. It means it has a shape. It can't be changed into another shape. That is one of the most defining factors, especially for us like at this age. That's how we can tell if something is a solid or not. So let's write that down. So we're going to write it's something that has a definite shape. So that means it has a shape that we can define, we can see what it is. Matter that has a definite shape. I'm going to give you guys about 45 more seconds to write this down. About 20 more seconds to get this written down. All right. So some examples of things that can be solved is so many different things. We could say this bottle, right? This bottle that holds my water in it. Container, this metal bottle. We could say this phone, right? My phone that has my cat on it. This container, this marker, this lid, the outside of the marker. All kinds of things, right? So let's just do an example. Let's do pencil as our example because we all have pencils at home, right? Let's draw one of these as our example. Here's my pencil. Go ahead and draw this. I'll give you about another minute to draw your pencil. All right, so we have our pencil. We have our example of a solid. I'm going to put this off to the side for right now, and we'll get back to it in a minute. All right, we have my solids right here. We're going to learn about liquids, and then we'll go back to our solids, and we'll kind of do some comparison and some examples. So now we're going to focus on liquids. So go ahead and write liquids on your page. Liquid. Give you guys about a couple more seconds. And so the definition for liquid that we're going to write is matter that can flow and drip. Matter that can flow and drip. Matter that can flow and drip. Give you guys about a minute to write this down. About 30 more seconds, and then we're going to talk about some examples. Okay, so we all know this example, or we don't all know, but a popular example are water bottles. Not the bottle, but the water itself. Look at this little bubble we can see at the top of air, and look how we turn it. We can see the water flows, right? Another example, some hand sanitizer. Look at this, right? We all have like talked and seen a lot of hand sanitizer in the past year because of the pandemic, right? We put it on to sanitize our hands. Look, you can see it on my hand and it's flowing down it. And I rub it in. So let's draw an example. We all know about water bottles. Let's draw an example for hand sanitizer. And I'll probably draw my hand sanitizer like kind of like a light blue so that you can see it. But really, you can't really see, it's like clear, right? I'll give you guys about a minute and a half to draw your hand sanitizer and label it. About one more minute. Okay, so now what I want you to do, we've talked about solids and liquids today, right? And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have you walk around your house or your apartment or whoever's house you're at, wherever you are. Maybe it's even a classroom that you're watching this from. I want you to walk around. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. I want you to walk around and I want you to write down 2 or 3 examples of each of these. 2 or 3 examples of some solids you can see, which will be very, very easy, and 2 or 3 examples of some liquids you see. All right, I'm giving you 3 minutes starting now. Go ahead and walk around. Okay, about 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds to look around your house or your apartment or wherever you are and find some solids and liquids. All right, so let's start with solids. Let's write down some solids. Literally, you could have written down almost anything you saw, right? There's so many different things you could write. So I'm just going to I'm going to draw a few examples. Maybe you saw a can of beans in your pantry. Maybe you saw a magnet, or maybe you saw a computer, a laptop, a phone. I'll draw a phone. I know phones look a little bit different than this, but I'm just giving an example. Y'all, I put it on the wrong one. All right, hang on a second. This is a great example of how everyone makes mistakes, including Miss Robinson and other teachers and other grown-ups like our parents. So I just cut it out and I switched the papers. But so we know for solids, we have a can of beans, we have our phone. There's so many other examples. I can draw my glasses. I'm gonna draw purple glasses, even though my glasses are clear. And you could have sunglasses or real glasses. You could have seen a plate. I mean, there's just so many different things. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a minute and a half to draw either what you have or some of the examples I drew. I'm gonna give you a minute and a half. All right, guys. So let's write some sentences about what we did. So I'm going to write a sentence as an example, and you can write that too, or you can follow some of the sentence stems I make after that. I'm going to say a pencil is a solid because it has a definite shape. Actually, I'll just write a pencil is a solid. We already wrote up here that they have a definite shape. A sentence, so you could use that and you could put something else than pencil there, or you could say an example of a solid is a blank. Is it blank? I give you guys about a minute and a half to create your sentence or sentences. You can have more than one sentence. About a few more seconds. All right, so now we're going to look at some of the liquids we could have written down. So since we're at home, like there are a lot of liquids you could write down, but some examples you probably saw in your refrigerator or in the kitchen or even like in the living room or something. Sometimes maybe a cup of coffee, like us grown-ups like coffee. Cup of coffee, maybe a carton of milk, some milk, milk. This is the handle, not D. Um, a water bottle, or you could have had other examples. You could have had juice. You could have had so many different things. I want you to draw pictures for either the examples you wrote or some of the ones I have right here. Or some of the ones we even talked about, like I said, juice or something like that. Go ahead. I'm going to give you about 1 minute to do that. 1 minute. About 20 more seconds. And so I'm going to write some sentences like I did before. This time my example I'm going to write for you guys is going to be similar to the second sentence I left as a sentence stem. So I'm going to say, an example of a liquid is hand sanitizer. Another sentence stem that I could make for you guys that you guys could plug in is blank. A blank is an example. I'm sorry, a blank is a liquid. A blank is a liquid. I want you to write at least one sentence with one of your examples or one of my examples. I will give you guys 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, so we talked about solids and liquids today, right? So let's look back at our objective to see if we hit what we said we would do. I can classify matter by sorting materials as solids or liquid, or a solid or a liquid. And that's what we did today. We talked about those two states of matter, right? Things that matters, things that make everything, and we talked about those two specific kinds. We talked about the different things that a solid has a definite shape, whereas a liquid flows. We can still see it, we still know it's there, but it flows and it kind of takes the shape of its container, right? This water takes the shape of its container. If I were to pour it into a cup, it would become that shape. If I were to pour it on the ground, it would be a puddle on the ground. So it doesn't have the same shape, but we can see it and it flows. Have a great week. I'll see y'all next week for our last week. All right, bye.